Hey y'all. So it's finally winter, right? It's finally getting cold down here in Texas. We're getting down into the 30s at night. We've even gotten down into the 20s a couple times. So I thought we'd talk about how I am storing the Travato when I'm not using her. So there is much to do generally on the Facebook group about winterizing, not winterizing, storage, plugged in, not plugged in, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and then you can make your own decision. I will tell you that no matter what anyone salesperson says, the Travato is a 3-season coach. This is not a 4-season coach. There's tank heaters. But all your tanks on the L lithium models are under the van. Your pipes are under there. It's exposed. It will freeze. It will freeze. Generally the rule is if it's going to stay frozen, like you're not going to get above freezing during the day, then you need to probably winterize. If you're just going to dip below freezing at night and then come back up during the day, then you're probably fine. I mean, we just don't really winterize down here in Texas because it generally does not stay below freezing for days on end down here. So anyway, let me show you, how I'm handling. So as previously discussed, Lucille's got a lovely shop that she fits in. So that right there is going to take a lot of pressure off your systems in the cold because she's in a fully insulated place. So it doesn't, it doesn't get as cold as quickly in here, which is nice. But I do keep her plugged into shore power. Right now, I'm planning on putting in a 30 amp drop, but right now, she just plugged into a regular outlet. And go watch Scott over at Go Small Live Large. He'll talk to you about max branch amps and not popping circuit breakers and all that. But she's in here, she's plugged in, and just running right off the regular house outlet. So you want to do that if you're going to have the heater on electric, or if you're going to be using your tank warmers. You really going to want to be on shore power because they are just a power suck. All right, so we come in here and look at the Truma. I got her set. First of all, since I'm on shore power, she's on EL2. I'd probably turn her down to EL1. I've never used like EL1. I just figured, she'll use as much juice as she needs, so anyway, EL2 is where I am on electric, whenever I'm on electric, or obviously if I need gas. If I'm not on shore power, then I'm on gas. But I just pretty much live either gas or EL2. I suppose if it was real cold and you were on shore power, but it just wasn't keeping up, then, I would definitely look at going to one of the mixes. Or just straight up gas. Straight up gas is so much more efficient and hotter than using the electric. But if you got shore power, you're going to use electric. Anyway, so then I got the temperature set on 45 degrees. If it got, super cold, I might crank that up a little bit. The thing is that, she is okay at getting and staying at the temperature that you set her at. But not, the insulation in these things ain't great. So sometimes, you might need to turn the heat up to get it to be at the temperature you want. So you just have to play with that. And then of course, I'm over here got her down to 15 amp service. And I think I got her set on 10 max branch amps, but don't hold me to that. Basically, lower your max branch amps until you stop popping breakers. I have actually not popped any breakers in the shop because I kind of got this dialed in at this point now. So, and I know what's on my circuits in my shop. If I'm plugging into somebody's house, they don't know necessarily. And then I'd probably crank those max branch amps down to, 5. Just so I'm not hunting down breakers all night long. Anyway, so that's what I do there. Now, if it was going to get real cold, if we're talking well below 30, into the 20s for prolonged, all night long, then I would come over here and turn my tank heaters on. Because as you can see, I do have 2/3 of a tank of water in her. My other tanks are empty. But yeah, I do have fresh water in her. She's not winterized or anything. So yeah, if it was going to get real cold, then I can turn the tank heaters on. I'm on shore power. So those would be fine. But I'm telling you, they are an energy suck. You do not want those on if you are not on shore power. All right? And then if you have a GL version Travato, the batteries hang off the rear axle, right? So they're basically under the floor right here. And so this grill in the garage area is the vent. And this Truma outlet is where the heat comes out. And I got one of the little doodads so I can angle the heat towards the vent. And then there's a fan under there. If the battery pack starts to get too cold, the fan will kick on and it will suck the heat from that vent down under into the battery compartment. Try to keep them lithium batteries warm so you can charge them. You can always discharge them if they're too cold. You just can't charge them back up. So you want to make sure on your rig that this area is clear, free and clear of any, items you might be storing. Sometimes you drive, like that water will slide on down here. So you got to move that. Otherwise, your batteries can't get the heat that they need. Also, some people, when the fan kicks on, they kind of freak out. They're like, what is that noise? It's the fan down there kicking on to keep your batteries warm. If your batteries do get cold soaked, you're going to know that because your gauge is going to turn blue. I've blue gauged her a couple times. Don't panic. It's not a huge deal. Like I said, you can still use the batteries. You can discharge them. You just can't charge them back up. So you got to drive or get in the sun or crank the heat or however you need to get that battery pack warmed back up to a temperature where your gauge turns back to green or whatever color, not blue, and then you'll be good to go again. So, like I said, I've blue gauged her a couple times, and no big deal. So yeah, that's it. Keeping her in covered storage is, of course, always preferable. I'm lucky that I have that ability. And I leave her plugged in. There's some, discussion about plugged in or not plugged in. The refrigerator's off and everything. Everything's off. But, I keep her plugged in so I can keep that Truma on at a real low temperature in case temperature drops outside. Make sure that, we don't have anything freezing or, getting crazy in here. And so far, so good. No problems. So for the record, the coldest I have camped in was last year, and I was at a state park in New Mexico up in the mountains, and it got down to 12 or 13 degrees overnight. And I was not on shore power. So I ran the heck out of the Truma on gas, and I had no issues. Whiskey and I stayed toasty warm, and I didn't have the tank heaters on because I wasn't on shore power. But again, we dipped down that low, and then the temperature came back up into the 40s the following day. So, that little dip overnight was not enough to cause any, issues for me. So, I wasn't particularly worried about not being winterized. Now, obviously, if you were going to stay at 13 degrees for a while, then you'd want to winterize. But anyway, so that's how I am running the show with Lucille sort of, I guess, in cold storage at the moment because I'm not using her. And I hope you found that helpful. And if you did, a little thumbs up would be amazing. And I hope to see you on the road.